So, colleagues, bon après-midi tout le monde. I'm going to ask you to take a seat and feel free to come close to the front of the room, if you will. We are a mighty crowd, but not a voluminous crowd here this afternoon, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Rob Summerby-Murray. I'm the President and Vice Chancellor of St. Mary's University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm a member of the core committee of our Canadian Military Veteran Family Connected Campus Consortium. It's quite a mouthful, and sometimes we just call it the Consortium. And so we're very pleased to have members here from the Canadian Armed Forces, from Veterans Affairs Canada, for the many partners who are part of this whole process nationally, and that includes the Royal Canadian Legion. It includes many members of our post-secondary organisations as well, and particularly in the room this afternoon, members of Universities Canada, university presidents. We have colleagues who have joined us online. There's a group of folks across the country at the present time, and they are joining us literally coast to coast as we go. So our goal in the next few minutes is to work towards signing of a set of guiding principles for those who are comfortable doing that, but also to bring information to many members in the room today. I want to provide a few remarks by way of housekeeping at the beginning. I do want you to be aware of the exits in this room, one main exit directly behind me. I want as well to draw your attention to the fact that we do have a photographer in the room, and so I just want you to be aware of that. If you don't wish to have your photograph taken, please signal to the photographer. I recognize that many of us are in public positions, and so sometimes that's not a choice given to us, but we wanted to give you that choice today as well and draw your attention to that. I also wanted to acknowledge that this meeting, our presence today, is in the traditional and unceded lands of the Anishinaabe Algonquin peoples, a nation that exists at the confluence of rivers, and as we heard at Universities Canada yesterday, a confluence of the four directions. Many members are joining us online from other nations covered by treaties across this country, governed by partnerships and relationships, and it's a recognition for all of us that we are treaty people. I will greet you in Mi'kmaq, the land, the nation, the language of the land in which I have the privilege to serve as university president. I will simply say Kwe, Pijilazi. It's wonderful to have you here today, and we acknowledge the presence in the land. We also wanted to take a few moments as we move towards Remembrance Day to offer some brief reflection as we move forward. You'll see on your tables poppies, and thank you to the generosity of the Royal Canadian Legion. We wanted to acknowledge all members of Canadian society, those who have fallen in service of country. We also wanted to ensure there was a connection as well to those who are serving, both regular force and reservists. Part of our goal is to be focused on transitions in and out of the Canadian Armed Forces, and we recognise that this is a service to country that is of particularly importance to all of us here. And so we invite you to remember phrases, n'oublions pas, nous nous souvenons, lest we forget, and to reflect as we begin our process here this afternoon. I also want to acknowledge at the outset the tremendous support that we have received as a consortium from Universities Canada. We have the use of this space today due to the generosity of Universities Canada. Many of the Universities Canada staff are in the room. The President and CEO, Gabriel Miller, is here as well. And we are grateful for the support for our post-secondaries through Universities Canada, and you're present today. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of my Universities Canada colleagues, Bill Flanagan from the University of Alberta, and Bill is going to provide a few remarks for us as we begin this process today. And after Bill has spoken, we'll share a little more detail about the consortium and then do introductions as we work our way through the process of key members of the Canadian Armed Forces and Veterans Affairs Canada and others who are with us. So Bill, the podium is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Robert, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here today. and I'm really pleased to welcome everyone to this historic signing of the guiding principles for the Canadian Military and Veteran Family Connected Campus Consortium. And this signing today marks a significant advancement of our shared commitment to support Canadian military members, veterans, and other families as to achieve their personal, academic, and professional goals. And we recognize how they strengthen our campuses and our communities through their diverse skills and commitment to purpose and their resilience. And this event also highlights the growing network across post-secondary institutions and associated partners. And the University of Alberta's leadership to provide access to post-secondary education for those who have served our country dates all the way back to the Kaki University, which was created by the first president of the University of Alberta, Henry Marshall Tory, after the First World War. And today, the University of Alberta remains a leader in Canada and globally as we work to create equitable and sustainable pathways for military members, veterans, and their families to access post-secondary education and training. And this work leverages the consortium's growing network. And one example of our leadership is reflected in the U of A's ongoing evolution as a military and veteran-connected campus. And what began as a 2-year project has now developed into an integrated support system to help military members and veterans with their academic pursuits. And we offer specialized academic, social, and mental health services that lead to improved outcomes for this important group. And a second example is the Canadian Military Veteran and Family Connected Campus Consortium. Yeah, that is quite a mouthful. And it is chaired by our own Suzette Brémaud-Philippe, who is here. Suzette, where are you? Yes, there. Suzette is our own faculty member at the University of Alberta. And I know that many of you will be familiar with Suzette and her many outstanding contributions. And she and her team at the University of Alberta work closely with other post-secondary institutions, the Canadian Armed Forces, Veteran Affairs Canada, and associated partners to transform possibilities into reality. And I've had the opportunity to tour Suzette's lab and see the remarkable work she's doing with Highmark. We're enormously proud of the work that Suzette and her colleagues are doing at the University of Alberta, and really building on, as I mentioned, a very long tradition of supporting the military and our veterans at the University of Alberta. And that's really what we're here today to celebrate. And the consortium's guiding principles, vision, and objectives aim to build the capacity to drive transformational impact. And together we can foster connections and promote proactive partnerships. And the coordination includes sharing knowledge, establishing evidence-based best practices, and ongoing collaboration to realize equitable access in a support network, essential to helping military veterans, military members, veterans, and their families navigate civilian education. And so together we can create opportunities for those with a military background and their families to build on their leadership skills, grow their knowledge, and find new ways to innovate and contribute. And so today, in signing the declaration, we affirm our commitment to leveraging post-secondary education for the public good. So once again, thank you all, and I'm delighted to be here today. Over to you, Robert. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bill. Very much appreciated. And I just want to acknowledge as well the many colleagues who are joining us. We see some faces on the screen here. Thank you for those who are joining us on Zoom today. They represent members who are part of a core committee. They represent those who are part of this whole process, who have been part of monthly meetings, in fact. Interestingly, many of us are seeing each other in person for maybe even the first or second time. I had the great pleasure of meeting someone called Dwayne Cormier, whom I've been on a meeting with, I think, every week for the last 3 years, but managed to meet him in person. What a concept. So having people on Zoom, having people here in person is a tremendous joy for all of us as we work on this network and what it means for the future. Suzette Brémaud-Philippe's name has been mentioned. I'm going to ask Suzette to come to the stage and join me as we work into the next part of our agenda, which is really to provide a little more context on what the consortium does, the leadership it's providing, and particularly to emphasize what we believe are opportunities in the consortium to ensure that students in our post-secondaries and support is available for members transitioning in and transitioning out. We're going to do that by way of some comments as well as a short video in some ways the video sums up some of the activities over the last 12 months or so of the consortium. But Suzette, further comments before we press play on the video? Over to you.
Thank you. Just a moment. I'm just thrilled. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here and who has supported. So before we show the video, just thank you earnestly for everyone online and those who are in the room and those who are also behind the scenes, and many, many others across the country. I also want to just acknowledge some of the people who are online, who are on the core committee. So Amy Hunter is on the screen. She's from the University of Regina. Jason Kerr, who is just to her right on our checkerboard, is also on the core. Kevin Frise has been instrumental from the University of Alberta to be able to support all of the initiatives from the Alberta side and also from the national side. We have some people in the room, Dwayne Cormier, who sits on the core, most certainly, and a number of other people who are not yet with us for right now. I also want to tip my hat to Suzanne Triance-Wright, who has been an absolute champion. She's on the top right-hand corner of our screen. She previously worked with Veterans Affairs Canada as a case manager and lead, and has been instrumental in making this initiative possible and visioning everything that we've been visioning. So thank you, Suzanne, for all that you've done. Many others are on the line, and we'll get a chance to hear from them shortly, but why don't we turn to a video just to start an overview. This is a video from a summation of a symposium that we had in May of this year that was held at the University of Alberta, and we had people from across the country who were representing that. So off we go, if we can turn that on.
It's a pleasure to welcome you all this morning to this very important symposium, bringing together members of our Canadian Armed Forces, members of Veterans Affairs Canada, members of our post-secondary institutions, and partners within the greater community. We are very pleased to welcome you all here today.
Our military members, veterans, and their families show incredible commitment to our nation and are integral to post-secondary and civilian communities.
What we're trying to do and what we're aiming at as a consortium is going to help students, is going to help those who are serving and have served, hopefully to move on to new careers, to gain new skills, to have great educational experiences.
It's inspiring that we're doing this, the opportunity to network and see how much support and willingness there is to try something more for these students.
I definitely think that the relationships that we're making right now will help us to improve the service that we're offering, ultimately.
I think the biggest value is connection. It's connection over institutions. It's connection of learners with the right people in the different institutions they need supports from. And it's making that visible.
It's a hub where post-secondary can network with military, and not just one institution, multiple institutions, and we can have provincial government and federal government layered on as well.
There's so much more we can be doing in higher education to facilitate the transition from military service to life as a civilian.
A lot of us are kind of anxious about getting out. And, you know, if we don't know what we're getting out to do, how do you land where you really should be? What work needs to be done to help identify what skills, what training, what, you know, the background of folks leaving the CAF, what does that look like? And where should they go in the civilian world?
We're better than higher education to turn that into a place where veterans can come and figure out who it is they want to be and where do they belong since they're no longer in the military.
We invite you, for the sake of the well-being of our members, of the members of those who are transitioning, of their families, of the institutions, of our Canadian society. We heard from Captain Navy Nick Gauthier that now is the time for us to shine and pull together as a community to demonstrate our resilience and our capacity to work together for the greater good of our Canadian society, but also the greater good of our world.
I think having all the right partners at the table with the support of CAF and VAC and with Suzette and her amazing team and the research-informed information that we can take forward into our supports and services, that's what's really going to help us move forward into the next stage.
So a video that tries to sum up some of what we're doing. And I want to just say, in terms of additional comments in the video, you've picked up a theme there of transition. And that transition, when we began this discussion, was very much based on transition out of the armed forces. But as we've worked our way through into this project, as we've consulted with those doing the research, as we've engaged more strongly with our colleagues in Veterans Affairs Canada and also the Canadian Armed Forces, it's become very, very clear that our post-secondary institutions, our universities, colleges, polytechnics, CEGEPs and others also need to be part of a reconstitution agenda. And I think it's important as well that we focus part of our work on that. What are the skill sets, the leadership opportunities that the Canadian Armed Forces need going forward, and what is the role and responsibility of our learning institutions to make that happen? I'm delighted that in the room here is an alumna from my own university who tells me, and I hope I'm not misquoting you, that every day you use the work that you did in your master's degree at St. Mary's University. That is feeding into leadership inside the Canadian Armed Forces. There are many examples that we would think of. What can we be doing in our organizations, particularly as executive heads, to focus research, to ensure that the skills, the technologies, the approach to data analytics, cultural components, science and technology are feeding into the development and that reconstitution model as we go. So we really have a model here in the consortium that may have started out with a sense of a linear transition, but in fact is really much more about a cyclical engagement of the learning environment between the institutions that are represented in this room. And perhaps that's a good segue to the institutions that are in this room. And with that, I will hand things over to Suzette.
So we have a number of institutions who are present here. We're going to be hearing from a few different key players. We've had the privilege of meeting from the post-secondary institutional side with the Canadian Armed Forces, with Veterans Affairs Canada, with the Military Family Services at various times. So we're going to be hearing from a number of those individuals just to give some opening remarks. Before we do that, just want to amplify a few things that Rob just mentioned. We're aiming to support the students who come in, who are entering into our institutions, and to make sure that they have pathways to improvements, pathways to advancing their skills and their knowledge. But we also want to make sure that the institutions know how to receive and how to support those individuals who are coming in. We have regular force, reserve force members, as well as veterans and their families. Each come individually and with a skill set, with incredible knowledge and skills. They're leaders. They come with professionalism, and bringing them into our institutions enriches our campuses, enriches our abilities to do the things that we do. And so there's opportunities from the institutional side, from the post-secondaries, to be able to leverage and to partner those individuals with the best of the best that we bring from our institutions to innovate forward and to also contribute to the broader community. So there's the students. There's our faculties and our communities that we from a post-secondary side can help support our institutions to become more military, veteran, and family connected. And then from a network side, to be able to partner. I heard last night in walking into the room with the presidents here that partnership is a significant component and also contributing to the larger community. And part of this initiative is not just about the student level, although that is essential, but also about what we do collectively to contribute to the larger community. I'm going to introduce now, and I'm hopeful that he's online, Rear Admiral Steve Waddell, the commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, if he might be able to provide a few remarks.
Yeah, thanks very much, Suzette. I hope that you can hear me well, and if so, maybe
Sir,
just...
we're not hearing you. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy. I hope that works now.
Not quite yet.
Okay, maybe if you could move on to somebody else.
We have you now. We have you now. We hear you. And I'm wondering
Okay,
if someone,
fantastic.
if someone online could make Steve more prominent instead of the checkerboard, but maybe just make Commander Waddell.
Once I'm the risk though, that my head will be too large for the screen, I hope.
Your head is bigger than mine. at the moment. I'm just going to say that, sir, with all due respect.
Oh, fantastic. Listen, Suzette, thanks so much for the intro. So yes, Rear Admiral Steve Woodell, Deputy Commander of the Royal Canadian Navy. And I have to admit, until just a few weeks ago, I didn't know very much about the Military Veteran Family Connected Campus Consortium and the University of Alberta's advocacy in all of this space. But now that I am familiar, I'm really thrilled at both what you're doing and the potential that it offers all of us collectively. You know, when I consider that the Navy today is undertaking the largest shipbuilding program since the Second World War, and the fact that we are working through probably about 75% of the people that we have in our authorized strength, or how many people we actually need today, and the fact that only 8% of all Canadians who set foot in a recruiting center even consider the Navy as a choice to join in terms of joining the CAF, the Canadian Armed Forces. I think there's huge potential for us to Bill and Robert's point on this kind of circular continuum of not simply supporting folks when they're ready to take off their uniform and transition to other environments, employment, constituencies, but this circular connection of how do we zero in on the untapped potential in all of our post-secondary and high school institutions to make sure that they're aware of the opportunities, not just in the Canadian Armed Forces writ large, but at least from my perspective, the Royal Canadian Navy. And I think that this collaboration with post-secondary institutions is certainly a high priority as we work to reconstitute our force and building this awareness, whether it's through veterans, through industry, academic institutions, about all of the opportunities and benefits, and certainly the importance of service to country. And I think that that's important as we consider how to protect Canadians in this particularly increasingly unsettling world that we all seem to be living in. So I just applaud all of you for this outstanding initiative and having my team get much more familiar with and involved in all of the work that you're doing to make sure that we all collectively can enhance not only the value of a strong armed forces, but certainly all things from my perspective, Navy and maritime issues across all of these consortiums. So I just applaud all of your efforts, and I know other people would like to speak, and so certainly offer them that opportunity. But I'll remain online if any time we get through any questions or there's additional insight that you'd like to hear from me. So again, I just applaud all of your work and really thrilled that this is happening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those kind remarks, and looking forward very much to continuing to engage with you and all of the Canadian Armed Forces. We also have Commodore Bouchard with us and Colonel Price. I just want to thank you for all of the work that you've done with us to be able to advance this. This could not have happened without you and your team, Commodore, to be able to advance what we're doing. So thank you for your incredible contribution. Would you like to say a few words before? Yes. Thank you. And Jane, I will be calling on you next.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, Admiral Waddell, guests. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to spend some time and hearing about the support that the Canadian military, our veterans, and also the families are receiving through the post-secondary institutions. Since 2022, since the start, I was able to participate at a few of the events, and it's impressed me about the diversity and the approach of all the organizations that support the Canadian Armed Forces from a post-secondary institution perspective, because, as was said before, we really are a learning organization throughout. And as people, as you know, as the commander of the Canadian Armed Forces Transition Group, we look after our folks that will transition from military to civilian. opportunities, but also our first focus is the transition to another occupation. So if somebody with a few years of service, 4 or 5 years of service, is considering to leave the Canadian Armed Forces, our first approach is to see how can we retain that individual. And at a lot of times, that transition or the retention aspect will come from education, continuing education into a different occupation. Donc, il est vraiment important pour nous autres de maximiser les efforts et de trouver les opportunités qu'on peut utiliser avec les institutions postsecondaires pour faciliter ces transitions-là à nos membres, et non seulement à eux, mais aussi à leurs familles, ainsi que les vétérans. I know my wife, who took her release about 7 years ago, had the opportunity to conduct such a training opportunity to further her career. So it's close to my heart, and I'm very thankful for all the work that has been ongoing with all of the partners, whether it's with the Consortium, VAC, MWS as well. So, un gros merci à tout le monde. Merci à tous. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commodore, for your remarks. Jane, if I could call you up. We're going to hear a few remarks from Jane Hicks, who joins us from Veterans Affairs Canada. Jane Hicks, I hope I have your title right. Acting Director General, Services Delivery and Program Management with Veterans Affairs Canada, unless you have been elevated to a different role that I'm not aware of yet. Okay. Okay. So if we can welcome Jane Hicks.
Good afternoon, honored guests, colleagues, and valued partners. It is truly a pleasure to be part of today's important milestone event in the creation and evolution of the Canadian Military, Veteran, and Family Connected Campus Consortium. And I too, it does not roll off my tongue. And it has been my mission over the last couple of weeks to make sure that I can remember that acronym. Because anyway, I've been working with the consortium for a few years now, and you know, I just want to take a moment to reflect on the importance of the collaboration in our mission. The challenges faced by veterans and their families can be complex and multifaceted. They require a united approach, one that brings together various partners, including post-secondary institutions, government agencies, and community organizations. Today marks a pivotal step forward in our collective commitment to supporting military members, veterans, and their families in pursuing their education goals. The Campus Consortium, I've just condensed it, aligns with larger Government of Canada objectives, such as supporting military members, veterans, and their families, not only through the transition process, but also in life after service and service after service, which coincidentally is the name of the National Veteran Employment Strategy that was just recently launched in June of this year. And its aim is to reduce barriers for military families accessing education and support services. Under the employment strategy, our goal is to ensure that all veterans have the opportunity to enter the labor market after the military service with as many pathways and options possible. We support their journey, depending on the path they take, by providing career transition services, rehabilitation, and also education and training benefits to those eligibles. We are learning every day of the new career opportunities Canadian veterans have taken on in order to achieve these goals. The Campus Consortium embodies the spirit of collaboration that is essential for our success. By working together, we can create an environment that fosters the academic success and well-being of military members, veterans, and their families. The consortium is not just about education, it's about creating a supportive network that understands the unique experiences of those who served our country. The guiding principles agreements are about to be signed or being signed, which is a testament of our shared vision. It outlines our commitment to advancing military and veteran family campuses across the country. And I would like to extend my gratitude to all partners involved in this initiative, particularly Suzette and Robert. Your dedication and hard work have brought us to this moment. Together, we are laying the groundwork for a future where our veterans and families can thrive in their education pursuits and beyond. Thank you so much.
We have meetings weekly with Veterans Affairs Canada and the Canadian Armed Forces. They give us time to be able to vision this together. We have time with some of our post-secondary educational partners. Rob Summerby-Murray joins us as often as he possibly can on the core committee so that we can evolve what we're doing together. The commitment that Veterans Affairs Canada and the Canadian Armed Forces has with us is substantial. And I can't underemphasize that. It is rare for us as post-secondary institutions to be able to come together and have that kind of a commitment where we can vision together and partner about the needs. And this has been going on for not just a week, not just 2 weeks or a month, but this has been going on, as the Commodore and Jane have mentioned, for years, a few years already. And it builds on the backs of a number of initiatives that others in this room have been building on, and I think Dwayne, especially of you. Dwayne has been working tirelessly for many years as the transition guru, as he has been coined, to be able to vision and build pathways forward and different initiatives. We're hoping that this one sticks. There have been many times where we have been building on the backs of giants and the work that has gone before, and want to make sure that this has longevity and sustainability, and that's the intention of us coming together and making sure that we're plugged into the right places so that the work that has gone on before is sustainable and continues forward. We're going to hear now from post-secondary institutions. So I'm going to introduce Jason Kerr, who also is on our core committee. Jason's going to say a few words, and then I'm going to turn to President Kevin Weaver from Georgian College. Both of them are from Georgian College. So Jason, if I can turn to you, and then if you wouldn't mind introducing President Weaver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suzette, for the introduction. And the opportunity to speak on my experiences as a veteran working in the post-secondary institution and also going to a post-secondary institution. And just the importance of the CMVF3C and the supports that I've seen Georgian implement since I started working there. In December of 2020, I released from the military and started my journey into civilian life. And with this, I thought that was what the rest of my life was going to be, fix aircraft in the same hangar that I went to day in and day out for the 10 years prior. But about 6 months into that, I realized that that wasn't going to be the case, that there was going to be obstacles and that it was probably about time to move on. And that's when I was introduced to the vocational rehab training program by Veterans Affairs Canada. And after about 2 years on that program, I decided it was time to find a part-time job. And that part-time job came in the form of working at Georgian College and working as a military connected coordinator. When I applied to it at first, I didn't really believe that I was going to be hired for it. But I did have a unique perspective on what I believed veterans needed to see when they came into the college and when what they needed. And I believe my colleagues would say that I think I said PLAR about 100 times in my interview because I believe that was the building blocks that were required for military to be successful. And over time and working with Joanna Coulthard, the director of libraries there, and Rebecca Saborn, the dean of engineering, I've come to realize that building a military connected strategy has been more than that. It's about building a foundation that not only veterans can come in, but their families, their spouses, the dependents. And I realized that this was even more important when I started looking for a post-secondary institution for myself, for me to attend to retrain and start my second career. Seeing that some of these services were not available at all universities across Canada or even in Ontario where I was looking at going, I realized that having this community of practice available and sharing was of vital importance. And I believe that as we move forward, sharing these services will only help the next future generation of veterans, their families, and spouses and dependents. In saying that, I'd like to introduce Georgian College's president and CEO, Kevin Weaver. Since I've joined the Georgian College team, he's shown dedication to the military connected strategy and has helped us move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, and I'm quite humbled to follow you, quite honestly. Ane Sego Nakurmiak Tanshe, which means hello in Ojibwe, Mohawk, Inuktitut, and Michif. Greetings on behalf of Georgian College. We are a proud military-connected college with 7 campuses serving Central Ontario. I wish I could be there in person, and I want to thank you for making this virtual option available for those that could not be there. Let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to those on the call and in person who have served and continue to serve our country. Your bravery and contributions are deeply appreciated. I want to thank you for that, Chi Miigwech. Georgian has long-standing and deep ties to the military community. We're geographically situated in areas with large Canadian Armed Force base operations, including Base Borden and Meaford. 2 of our 7 campuses have dedicated cenotaphs where we reflect year-round, and some of our employees have served, and we continue to welcome an ever-growing group of students who are veterans or have military connections. Over the years, we've grown the supports that Jason talked about, and we offer those to students as well as employees. For our students, we've got a Veterans Club, and we also have very dedicated scholarship funding to support those students. Becoming a military-connected college was a natural next step for us, and we've really taken a comprehensive and collaborative approach to putting additional resources in place that support our military-connected learners and employees. And I really need to thank Joanna Coulthard, Rebecca Sabrin, and Jason Kerr for their leadership in moving Georgian forward. And what I value most about this consortium, and I want to thank all those who have done the heavy lifting, is the opportunity to advance best practices, share strategies, and ensure the most meaningful and effective experiences provided to our learners. Individually, our organizations have unique strengths. But what's most important is together, I believe we can truly make a positive impact in the lives of those serving, veterans and their families, and offer pathways both ways to help students and military personnel flourish and succeed. So Georgian is pleased to be here virtually to sign onto the guiding principles. We're committed to doing our part to evolve the network and community of practice as we support each other and build strength as a collective. Thank you all for your leadership. We look forward to continuing this important work together. Thank you for your time, Chi Miigwech.
Thank you, Kevin, and it's a great opportunity, I think, as we move on to a signing component of this to note that we really are focused on post-secondary institutions and learners. That sense not only of universities that are in the room, our colleges and the college sector. We're in conversations with Colleges and Institute Canada, connections as well to polytechnics and CEGEPs across this country. Our goal is to unite post-secondary institutions across this land to ensure that we are providing the supports that are needed. As I want to thank the speakers as well at this point. Your engagement with this is invaluable for us. It's a valorization in many ways and validation, confirmation of hard work that has gone on, but I think is also signaling the way in which partnership will work for the future. What I'd like to do now is to actually bring us to a ceremonial signing event. One more question, one more point? No? Great comment, Dwayne, thank you. And so it is a good reminder to me to note the presence of others in the room as well and what that means. And so to ensure that that partnership is multifaceted as we go. So thank you for that. Opportunities to connect, whether it's through this particular document itself or with the ongoing support and connections that exist, are really important to recognize today. And that's a key component of what we are doing here. On your tables in front of you, you'll find a package that includes the guiding principles of the consortium. And yes, I too, Jane, am talking about it as the consortium now. I think that's where we are. And it includes two documents. One is an agenda for the day, but the other part of this is simply the guiding principles document. And before we move to sign, both virtually for colleagues who are signing online, in the room for those who are signing, I do want to say that today's signing for those who are willing and able is the beginning. I also want to note that we have a number of colleagues who have signed already virtually. We had a couple of colleagues last week who were very keen to get out the gate and signed the documents and sent them in. And we said, don't you want to talk about this further? And they said, no, we're fully committed to what this means for our institution. We know as well that there are colleagues in the room who absolutely correctly may wish to have further discussion inside their organizations, universities, colleges, the conversations that continue with our partners at CAF and VAC and others. And so we recognize that today is very much a symbolic signing. As one colleague said to me last week, is this a definite commitment of resource and time? And, you know, is there a budget commitment? I said, the key words here are a spirit of collaboration. And it is in that spirit of collaboration that we approach this signing process itself this afternoon. So there will be a symbolic element of this. There will be a hybrid element of this. But I would invite those who feel able at this point to take out that piece of paper, to find a pen in front of you, and we are going to witness in many ways together the signing of what is an historic agreement between our learning institutions, our Canadian Armed Forces, Veteran Affairs and many other partners as we move towards greater support for learning. And as the Commodore put it, we are all part of learning institutions together, and I think that is very much the appropriate framing for our work today. So as we pick up a pen, add Wonderful, and I think highly significant too, if you were the first signatory, given the origins of Carleton University post-World War II, its approach to learners after that conflict and what that meant for the city. So highly symbolic and highly significant as well. So thank you to those who have signed. I do want to, before we do that, just comment that you look on those guiding principles and see what this is about. We had a little joke a few minutes ago about PLA and how many times one had said prior learning assessment. That's just one component of what the consortium is doing. It's one of the objectives, to ensure that we are transitioning learning in its multiple ways, but it's also ensure that we have a sharing of data and best practices. We have an online resource depository, we have a website, we have partnerships and networks and those you can follow up on. And already the work of this consortium over the last several months, the last couple of years, has involved a sharing of resource. If I speak from my own perspective at St. Mary's University, my committee was struggling with what to do with prior learning assessment. And then I said, have you looked at the University of Manitoba? And they suddenly went, oh, there's some great resources there. We didn't know that was there. That's exactly the conversations that we are seeing happening, and we want to see more of that happening as we go. So without further ado, we're going to sign this document of guiding principles. Over to you for a few minutes. Yeah. I'm not sure whether there should have been a ringing of a trading bell or trading floor bell or something. To our colleagues online, I'm not sure whether you can see the chaos and mayhem taking place here, but there is a sense of engagement in the room. We very much appreciate that, and are pleased that colleagues have joined us online to share in that.
Would anyone like to make a comment while we're waiting? I have the microphone here, and there's one right there as well. Any other comments people would like to make, thoughts, reflections? May I reach in front of you? They won't hear you online.
Thanks, Suzette. For those of you who know me, my name is Todd Stride. I'm the Associate Vice President in Community Development with Canadian Forces Morale Welfare Services. So we do a lot of things. We're a social enterprise that's a construct of national defense, largely supporting the members in uniform and their families. So I work in the Military Family Services Division. Our constituency is families, essentially, and at any one time there's about 60,000 military spouses or partners across Canada who travel from location to location, following the member in uniform on postings, what we call postings. So that necessitates a lot of movement. The good news is they're a highly educated constituency, so about 70% of them have a post-secondary education, either college or university. But that mobility can make post-secondary education problematic. So having something like this, the Consortium, works to ensure that there are systems and infrastructures and people that have the cultural competencies to understand their unique reality. Because as the profession of arms becomes more complicated, we need the best and brightest of Canadians to join the Canadian Armed Forces. Well, there's a good chance that they're going to have a significant other that has professional and academic aspirations as well. So this is mission critical for military families, but in a way it's mission critical to Canadians, because if we want to keep people in uniform, we got to take care of their families, and this consortium goes a long way to doing that. So thank you to Universities Canada for hosting. Thank you for the leadership of the consortium, for having the vision, and thank for the member institutions, because I think this, a posting is never easy, but for a military family, something like this helps to ensure that they have a friendly place to land when the family is inbound to your community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments? I'm looking at Steve Clark. Would you like to make a few comments? Not that I put you on the spot or anything.
Thank you so much, Suzette. Stephen Clark with the Royal Canadian Legion. We've been involved in providing support to veterans throughout the entirety of our being, and we are learning more and more of exactly what that support is, what it requires, and what it takes. You'll recall from years ago at the University of British Columbia the establishment of the Veterans Transition Network, and I know comments about transition were made earlier, something that's incredibly important to the organization, but more so to the individual and their families. We also are now getting involved, thanks to working with such incredible people as Suzette, with research and supporting scholarships. Suzette and I were together at the Simber conference last week when the Legion announced a $50,000 doctoral scholarship, the first of 10 that we'll be doing over the course of the next 10 years, and continuing on with the master scholarships that we've been providing for the last 12. Something that the organization needs to do is to support the research that is being undertaken in universities across the country. There are other specific programs that we've been engaged with Suzette in, all to say there is such incredible work that is being undertaken right across the country in supporting military, currently serving, those who have served, and connecting them with the educational institutions and providing them the support that they need to continue on with their important progression in their careers, both in military, in service, and post-service. We're very appreciative to be here. We support very strongly the work that is being undertaken by the consortium. And I have to say, being in the military, acronyms have a purpose, and this is actually one of those. But I'm actually following along, Jane, your even abbreviated version of that because it's so much simpler. All to say, thank you. We appreciate being here. We provide our tremendous support both to those who are serving and to the institutions who serve them. Thank you, Suzette.
Anyone else who I shouldn't put on the spot but would like the microphone?
I see Suzanne online too, I think.
Suzanne. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Suzanne, go ahead.
Oh, did you say me? Okay. Okay, I can't tell you how exciting this is. I actually have found myself the entire time getting extremely emotional. And it's happening again. 3 years ago, it was just a vision. And yet so many people like Dwayne and so many others worked so hard over the years to create something that would ultimately lead to this. And then here we are. So it's such an honor. I had the privilege of working for Veterans Affairs for 20 years, Jay, and I can't tell you how excited I was when you got on board. And VAC was sitting at the table at the national level. That was what I had dreamed would happen, and it did. So I'm so grateful for that. But to be able to work frontline as a case manager with veterans and their families while they're transitioning, watching all of the challenges of those who wanted to stay in, and potentially with further education opportunities, they will be able to. So they'll be able to continue the purpose with which they began their careers. And their families will have these new opportunities. It's amazingly exciting for me to see this happen today. And it's been, as I say, 3 years in the making. I had the privilege of being on the core committee with U of A when they started the initial project of developing a toolkit that could roll out to Campus Alberta. And all along we kept saying this has to go national. It absolutely has to go national. And Canada has the opportunity, in my opinion, to be a leader on the world stage. This will be an opportunity for other countries to model what we are doing right here, right now, today, so that they can continue to support their forces. I had the privilege of attending a number of the international meetings, and there's so much searching and there's so much need for people to be able to connect and support our services and to be able to serve those that so generously serve us. So I just want to say thank you. What an honor it is to be here. Thank you to everyone in the room for all the work you're doing and all those online. And I really look forward to our paths continuing to cross as we work towards this common goal. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Suzanne. And you've also provided that important link from the work of this Canadian consortium into other partnerships globally. And that includes similar organizations that exist within the Five Eyes network. And having this consortium with a national presence gives us the opportunity as a country to participate more fully in like organizations that exist in the United States, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia. And so we weren't there 4 or 5 years ago in terms of being in that space. We are today. And I want to thank those in the room and online and all who have been involved in the core committee and those who have been joining us on a very regular basis over the last, really, we're 3 to 4 years in now. We now have a Canadian consortium that can lead, speak with, participate with pride in our discussions internationally. And so that's important for us. It's important for us, for those of us who lead institutions with a focus on research and learning and discovery, and by that I'm meaning all of the organizations in this room. So to have a national consortium today, launched, signed, of guiding principles together is a tremendous statement for Canada, and I want to make sure we hold that point close as we move towards Remembrance Day this year, and indeed as we bring to a close our afternoon. I'm going to ask Suzette to join me on stage because she's signaling there's a part of the program that I've missed.
Yes,
Pictures. So as we're going to close things up formally, I believe, but there's not going to be an opportunity for those who wish for some pictures here with these wonderful banners that can be part of the continued celebration. But some final comments, over to you.
Just thank you. How much more can I say other than thank you? Thank you to the Universities Canada for letting us, for all that you've done to enable this to happen and for providing a space for us to be in and to speak with the presidents to be able to advance this initiative. Thank you to the Canadian Armed Forces and Veterans Affairs Canada for being here. For Steve, thank you for representing the Royal Canadian Legion and being present. For all of you being here, for the many other people who are not in this room, and the more acronyms, OCAS, MFS, thank you, humbly. For OCAS, for CAPLA, for everybody, for the PC cats, for everybody. So there's many, many, many entities that have been involved, and we look forward to continuing to build those partnerships. We are going to end with a picture, if we could, with everyone, including those on the screen. We're just going to move the banners over left and right so that on whichever side Steve tells us to go on. So if you would like a picture just specific of you with the banners, by all means, Steve will be available to take pictures for you and your institution. And then we'll also do one big picture at first. Thank you, Rob, for all that you've done. Rob is an incredible person who has facilitated creating this space and certainly bridging in with the Universities Canada and also with CI Can, Polytechnics Can, the CEGEPs, and also many other entities. So thank you, Rob, for all that you do. All right. Thank you so much. I don't know what else to say other than thank you, thank you, thank you. If I can have everyone over there, because Steve is signaling over there. So if we can have everyone just stand up and move over there, that would be phenomenal. Thank you so much. And everyone online, if you can stay there, because we're going to keep your checkerboard up while we put everyone in front of the screen. So if we can have everyone move over to that screen, we'll also have an opportunity for those who have signed to be able to hold your sheet, your signature. But if everyone can move over to the left of me, that would be phenomenal. I will be collecting your signed guiding principles, so just make sure that I have them before you leave. Okay. We're going to, Rob, I need you over here. We'll get another picture. Thank you for all those people who have joined us online. I just want to say thank you for joining this celebration and this signing. We're going to close now. There's a number of pictures here. If you would like a picture of you on the screen taken by our photographer holding up anything, a signed piece of paper, you're more than welcome to do that. We'll be, just put your hand up and I'll be watching for that. Again, all of you, Rear Admiral Waddell, thank you so much for your comments. Amy, Kevin, Andrew, Phil, Nick, great to see you. Thank you so much for this historic moment for all of you who have joined us online. And we'll be circling back to everyone to make sure that we collect all of your signatures as well. Amy, anything else that you would like to say before you sign off?
Nope. Thank you. Good work, everyone. Happy to be part of this.
Thank you so much, Amy. Nick, Carlton, any comments you'd like to make?
Just congratulations and thanks for the incredible amount of work that everybody has done. And I'm so excited about the success here now and going forward for everyone. Thank you so much for your leadership on this, Suzette. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Nick. So grateful to have you here. I can't see the names of everyone. Gary, do you want to say anything? McNeely? Natalie and Kim, I'm coming to you in a second.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. That's great work. The real hard work starts tomorrow. But have a good Halloween, and if you go out hunting for treats. But we'll see you next time. Take care. Be safe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Anyone else want to speak? Warren Otto, this has been a long time coming. I didn't know you were on the line. Warren, any comments?
No, just congratulations, everybody. Yeah, I had my camera closed off because I'm having a bit of issues with the connection. Congratulations to everybody. As I put in the comments, seems like it's been 3 long years, but thankfully to the core committee who really carried this over, we got it to the point we are. We did it, and not that we knew what we were doing back when we first started as a small group. It's nice to see a larger group and everybody has been able to sign on or is considering to sign on. So congratulations to you all, and hope to be in touch really soon.
Thank you so much, Warren. I'm wondering if Natalie, anything you want to share?
Just feeling very happy, excited. I want to say congratulations. Thank you for all the hard work, especially the core committee and Suzette. I'm excited to work with everybody that is involved in the future. And I would like to take this opportunity to put it out there that I have funding for professional development in Mexico for 1 month. And if there's any kind of conversations that you would suggest that I have down there, please let me know. I'll be at a particular university for 1 month, but I'll be also speaking with other polytechnics, universities, colleges, and happy to bring forward any questions or get any information that people would be curious about.
Thank you, Natalie, very much. Rear Admiral Waddell, did you want to make any comments in response, or should I move on?
No comments. Just thrilled with all of everybody's work and all of this. It's just fantastic. Well done, Suzette, and everybody involved.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, anyone else online that I'm missing? Andrew, final comments? Gone. Okay, thank you for joining us. We'll be in touch. If anyone has any signed guiding principles that I can grab, that would be awesome.